Yes, we are on to our last segment of the day. It's been quite a ride. It's Entrepreneurship Tuesday on Y in the Morning. I go by the name of Barry Moses, or it's Barry Mo on every social media platform. And you can catch us on 22162, start with YM254. Don't forget to leave your name and where you're watching us from. If you prefer Twitter, the Y254 channel is our handle, Y254_ channel on Instagram, and Y254 on Facebook. So right about now, I have gentlemen, amazing gentlemen, former students of Kenyatta University. One goes by the name Martin, the other one Mathew, and they're from Empower and Serve, and they have an event going down this Thursday tagged Grassroots Entrepreneurship Summit. Karibuni sana.
Asante sana.
So maybe we can start with the gentleman with your microphone here, wanasiasa.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, my name is Martin. I'm a team leader at MSAV, Kenya. MSAV is Empower and Serve.
Empower and Serve.
Basically, we work with young people. We exist.
Just hold the mic steady, close.
Yes. Yes, we exist to build opportunities for the young people, but then our key focus is mostly for the disenfranchised young people.
Disenfranchised.
Yes.
You'll dissect that for us
Yes.
if you introduce yourself, my brother.
Thank you, everybody, for having us. My name is Mathew Komen. I support capacity development and learning within the organization. As Martin puts it, we are a small entity that we are setting up, and there's definitely a lot of learnings that even in our pilot projects and ideas that we do a lot of learning. And how do we influence now moving forward to learning from the lessons that we've learned from our activities, our initiatives, and then getting to be constantly learning on the new models. And also support partnerships and engaging with how do we take forward the direction around our biggest agenda, that is empowering the
empowering the disenfranchised.
He says it better. I don't get. I like always using the word.
The less fortunate.
The underserved. Yes.
All right. So MSAV is how many years old now? Before we talk about the Grassroots Entrepreneurship Summit.
So MSAV, to say we are now 4 years, though we formally registered in 2015. We existed from 2014. By that time, we were like a self-help group. But then we found the gap in the space within the support for entrepreneurs. And we said we really needed to have a platform, a very specific platform where we'll be recognized locally and globally. So we did register formally in 2015, April. As an NGO.
Yes. All right, before you start anything or before you get a startup going or running, you need to see a gap somewhere, and then you feel the need of filling it, and then you start up something. What is this gap that you guys saw so as to come up with MSAV, Empower and Serve?
The idea that came is, of course, during the time that you graduate from campus, and then there's that lack period where you're looking for a job. So it took us quite a bit of time, but then we are thinking at that point, are we just going to sit down and go looking for jobs? You go post your CV somewhere and then wait. And then we said there's something that you could do in that meantime, in the meantime, as you're waiting for a job to come through. So we sat down and we thought we could as well put our heads together. And something that Martin didn't mention, that is we used to be in the same group discussions as we are learning right from first year to fourth year. So we are used to all this brainstorming and doing all these sort of things. So we saw the gap that yes, most of us are graduating, but there are definitely very limited opportunities for jobs. So we saw that instead of just waiting and maybe hoping that tomorrow we'll get a job, and then it also sets you in that mood of you're desperate in looking for these jobs. So we came up and we thought, yes, we could register something and then start fundraising, getting that. That is the idea we had. But again, over time,
so this is a problem you had.
Yes.
This is a problem Martin had.
Yes.
And you probably figured it's a problem youths like you have across the country.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I would struggle. I would find out, like, within the transition, we had so many people who are training people to write CVs, like write a CV for you to get a job. But then even a number of us would trained to write a CV, you write a very good CV, an impressive CV, but you won't get that job. So it gets to me like we need to work around developing the entrepreneur or the idea or developing the person to create the opportunity. So that is when we went to the space of innovation. We went to the space of idea generation, and of course now if you focus, if you check on our direction that we have taken, we are more into developing innovation and entrepreneurship, because the focus was on how can I build on the ideas that we hold. And now one of the things that we realize is like young people are ambitious. By the time
Very
you are leaving campus, you have so many ideas. You have seen so many problems in the community. And of course, we started now saying, if I'm having an idea, like for example, the transition was a challenge, getting into the labor market. I have an idea. I can go to an incubation center, but most of the young people, they don't even know, do we have an accelerator? Do we have an incubation center? Do we have people even who have funds, the venture funds, who want to support specific ideas?
And so if they exist, the accessing them is also
exactly. So we said we want to be doing something like a pre-incubation or create a platform that will be able to get all these opportunities together into a platform. And that is now where we said now we will be doing more of empowerment. That we say the word empower comes in. And of course now service is now to the communities, because every program that we run, our key focus is on, are we solving a specific challenge in the community? That is when we call it innovation for social impact.
All right, so your target is the underserved in the community and mostly the youth. And what's your definition of the underserved? Is it that kid in the village, or in an informal settlement, or in a public school? Where is the line for the underserved and the served?
Okay, our core definition is, as I mentioned, that it started being us. We try to relate that ourselves, we are underserved in the sense that, yes, you could have the information, but you don't know what steps do you take to moving forward and building your idea into something that is fruitful. There's that aspect of also, you realize that most of the innovations, for them to happen, they should be within a setting like an urban setting. Nairobi, for example, you have so many incubation centers. But again, going back to the rural settings, there are so many ideas that and solutions that are fit to that context, that rural setting. They are aimed at solving a problem, a solution at that particular rural context. But again, they may not have that knowledge on how do they access to build the idea beyond that. So for us, an underserved youth or communities, that community that is, yes, they have the knowledge, but they cannot be able to move it, like to develop it further. And just to give you some statistics that in Africa we have mobile phone penetration is around 46%. If you compare it with India, that is, it stands at, I think the latest list of 2017 was at 26%. And then if you do that comparative analysis, in Africa, the startups that transformed into generating income stood at as at last year it was around 560 million euros. But if you compare with India, it's around 7.2 billion euros. So looking at that comparative analysis, yes.
So we have the mobile phone penetration in Ghana.
Yes.
So much.
Yeah.
The phones are in the villages.
Yes.
Person at left, right, and center.
Exactly.
And but in India, the penetration is a little bit lesser.
Yes.
But the startups are doing
a
well
bit more, yes.
are doing better in
Yes.
India
Yes.
than in the country.
Yes.
So then that means there's a problem.
There's a problem. There's a gap. So we sort of sit back and analyze where is this problem coming from. It's more to do with the system that is not enabling. It's more to do with, yes, we have the information, but we don't have that goodwill. Also the structural enabling environment that the government has created, and also us, the mindset that we set from the beginning.
I see a lot of research has gone into your findings, and which leads to this Thursday, where you have an event. It's tagged the Grassroots Entrepreneurship Summit, and the theme is unlocking the new pathways for grassroots innovators and entrepreneurs. This Thursday.
Exactly.
In Kenyatta University, at the Kenyatta University Business Center. All right, what is the aim of this particular event?
Thank you so much. One of the things that have been our strength as an organization, as a platform, we have really focused on creating partnerships or creating synergy within the ecosystem. And one of the things that we have done is just are not standing independent in the ecosystem, but trying to get to the other people who are acting within the system. That is like we understand different people within the ecosystem. Say like the British Council, say like we have like in Kenya, in Nairobi itself, we have over 50 incubation centers or youth-led youth support systems. So what we have done, we have been engaging with them one by one, and of course we have been creating opportunities for youth in that facet. But then what we realized is like we need to create a conversation where we now be bringing all these people together. Of course, the actors, the government, the higher institution of higher learning, the youth themselves, the entrepreneurs, and of course some other global actors. That is where we participated in a fellowship under the MIT. And the MIT, they have a program they call MIT D-Lab, which is a development program for Africa and other continents that are developing. So in that context, we decided to bring in a conversation that will bring all the actors on the same table. So the Grassroots Entrepreneurship Summit, it is an approach or a designed summit, a lesser or another version of the Global Entrepreneurship Summit that discuss entrepreneurs who have been advantaged, which is the word that we are looking into. But now we are bringing the conversation for the disadvantaged or disenfranchised, where now we are saying we have been discussing these entrepreneurs who are in Nairobi, people who have the opportunity, who have already kickstarted, people who have been in an incubation, people who have been able to do a pitch deck for their solution, people who have been able to be mentored. But now we are still having, like in Kenya, we are speaking of a devolved function, where now we are speaking of taking these services closer to the people. So bringing in the conversation for this is like we are now telling the guys, let us come back, let us do an analysis of what kind of impact we have caused in the solutions that we have empowered. In that context, we are looking into in the recent research that was done by the British Council, out of 100 businesses or ideas, it is only less than 10% that will go beyond startup or just to go to scale up.
Less than 10%.
Less than 10%.
That's a very small
So
number.
if, for example, in this room we are 10,
only one.
all of us have idea. Only one will go into a scale up. Those are the ones we call the early stage startups or such. So we are bringing in the conversation and now saying, can we now discuss unlock new pathways? Must we rely on external funding, for example, to support young entrepreneur in Kakamega? In a specific county, you have a solution. As a young person, I have a solution in, for example, Marsabit. Must I get an entrepreneur or a venture capitalist from India to support my venture? And
you have solutions for people in
exactly. So now we have to unlock new pathways to support these grassroots entrepreneurs, which is a thing of mindset, policy, and of course advocacy.
Powerful right there. Unlocking new pathways for grassroots innovators and entrepreneurs is the theme of the event, Grassroots Entrepreneurship Summit at Kenyatta University, in Kenyatta University Business Center, September. That is on the 13th, from 11 a.m.
Yes, actually, we the event starts at 9. So we'll be having exhibitions with the entrepreneurs. We'll be having networking sessions, and then we'll be having a panel discussion. We have exciting panelists, guys from the ecosystem, people who have passion in transforming the ecosystem in terms of support system for early startups. And then we'll be having a networking session, and of course, this discussion will move on. So we are even calling upon young people to participate in the same.
All right. My next question, I think you've listed all the things I need from the next question, but maybe you can highlight them. What am I going to walk out with out of this particular summit this Thursday if I come as a young entrepreneur, as a grassroots entrepreneur, as you call them?
One key thing that I'd want to mention that maybe didn't mention was for us as a learning institution, as a learning organization, we looked through and checked the previous people who came as and started businesses that have been successful. what has been their path. So we have a couple of entrepreneurs who've worked through the process, gotten the innovations, taken to startups, and then accelerated, and then they are now full businesses. So there's a whole chain of from ideation to having your business. So we have a couple of entrepreneurs who will be there to sort of mentor young entrepreneurs from the grassroots level. So we have quite a number of, including one of them is the institution that a company that developed the first antivirus in Africa. I don't know if you heard of Bunifu Technologies.
Bunifu Technologies, yes, I've heard of
the first antivirus in Africa. So for them, they went through a lot of modeling and transforming the idea. So you want to have that as part of the rich networks that the people will be coming for the event will be able to share with them. So it's more of networking and more of partnerships for them to be able to be mentored to move.
Networking, partnerships, and getting mentored through successful entrepreneurial stories.
Yes. Just maybe to paint a picture of what MSAV does. We're not the experts of everything. So we leverage on networks.
You create a platform
it's just like a platform that we bring everyone on board and get to see where do the dots connect. And
is this your first event, if you don't mind me asking?
We have done a launch for Innovating for Social Impact. That was an event we did in March this year. In that event, we were focusing on an event on a program that we were implementing. Actually, we were selected to implement a program under the European Union called M-Youth. M-Youth have been an interesting program for the Kenyan youth. Actually, just to mention, one of the entrepreneurs who will be doing a keynote is one of our portfolio entrepreneurs who we have worked over time. He's doing a very interesting startup called Ushauri. He's one of the representatives that we'll be sending. We'll be sending to entrepreneurs in Macedonia next week for a business camp in Macedonia, facing up some other guys from other continents, India and Europe. But then we had done in the beginning of that program, we had done a launch for Innovating for Social Impact program. And at that time we had called on in a bit of partners, people who are in to support our programs. And by the end of it all, we were able to realize a number of partnerships like what he is mentioning from the Cypher Africa, Bunifu Technologies, and some other guys from the GIZ who came in now to support our programs.
All right, we've talked about the past, now we can talk about the future. What is the future of MSAV? I see you've partnered with the MITD Lab, and I'm pretty sure you're looking for more partnerships. Despite that, what is the future of MSAV, and what type of impact are you looking at leaving in this society that we live in?
Thank you. The future of MSAV is to be, we are looking at creating a sustainable model where we'll be able to, this is just some of the pilot ideas that we had, transforming into an actionable pilot idea. We are looking into transforming this model of partnership and networking and mentorship into not actually scaling it up, but scaling it down, if I would say that, because we started here in Nairobi, but we're thinking of moving it to the grassroots. More of, we realize that's something that for you to have more ownership of a process, you need to involve the people who face the problem. And we're looking into moving into the counties, the county governments, to partner with them in sense of, if a solution is, for example, modeled in Marsabit, I'll use an example. There are specific problems that are relevant to Marsabit County. For example, off my head, it's a pastoralist community. If we had a solution that deals with empowering pastoralists to sell their products, to add value to their livestock produce and all that, we would partner with that specific county. Luckily enough, we're in an area where we have the devolved functions, and most of the decisions are made in those counties. So this is something that we are leveraging into to make sure that we model those solutions to come from there. And just something that Martin mentioned, talking about the Ushauri mobile application, that solution that was developed, it sent me remembering yesterday was International Mental Health Day, celebrating that. And that's actually something that we are more proactive in looking at the solutions that come up out of this process, and trying to link with the real-time problems. So we solve the real-time problems. I wouldn't shy away from saying that majority of us are the millennials, and there's this definition of millennials, how they think, how they, and we don't want to be, again, think as a traditional generation, but get to have real-time issues that so, and that's why we had this component of learning. We constantly learn, we do research, we do monitoring of this, we do discussions and get to understand. So the GES 2018, the event that will be there on Thursday, will be more of what are the learnings that we get from there. So we always like our strategy or our discussions moving forward being informed by the real problems that we get to discuss and document and think around, call the key stakeholders on the table and discuss these issues in a more objective manner and provide real-time solutions that will be scalable.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just to add on something in relation to your question on where we want to be in the next few years. And I mentioned learning. From the program that we implemented, we had called for solutions across the country, and we learned that women or girls were not proactive in participating. So we modeled another program, and we started a program that was sponsored to implement a project in Kajiado and Makueni. Those projects, we are calling them integrated resource centers for girls. Specifically, it is a digital literacy program for girls. It's like an empowerment model to bridge the gap. So when we are talking of our future, we are looking into monitoring and learning, and now implementing some basic programs that are really transformative in communities. So that is our big vision. Like, we want to see the solutions in the communities. We don't want these solutions in Nairobi. We want to see them solving that problem in that locality.
Powerful and amazing. I like the way you've diversified your operations to the counties and empowering the people, the, what did you call them, the disenfranchised youth. We appreciate you so much. And keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate you. This is Martin and Mathew from MSAV, and they have an event going down at Kenyatta University Business Center. That is on September 13th. On Thursday from 9 a.m. all the way till 2:30 p.m. And everybody's invited.
Yes,
I think you can tell them more about the event, since you know the details about the event.
Yeah, so we are specifically calling upon young entrepreneurs who have interest in learning, and of course getting to interact with a set of mentors, people who have learned. We also be showcasing some kind of innovations within the space that have been happening, that we have supported or supported by other organizations. So it will be an interesting thing. For them that have interesting ideas, you have the opportunity to write to us, and then we can give you a table to do exhibitions. I think that will be also an interesting concept. So we are really much awaiting to have the discourse running.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Thank you very much for coming to Y in the Morning. Yes, this has been another Entrepreneurship Tuesday, and we had quite a ride. And wrapping it up for us is Martin and Mathew from MSAV. They have an event at Kenyatta University this Thursday from 9 a.m. all the way till 2:30 p.m. I go by the name of Barry Moses. Find me on social media as It's Barry Mo, or Y254 channel is the way to reach us on Twitter, Y254_ channel on Instagram, Y254 on Facebook, and Y254 channel on YouTube. 22162 is the SMS line, the most preferred. Start with YM254. Don't forget to leave your name and where you're watching us from. Let's prepare the way for Queen's Wednesday tomorrow. So until then, enjoy yourselves.